And I went, what are you talking about? And he goes, if it's my choice as your medical professional, you are done snowboarding. What? What do you mean I'm done snowboarding? I just became a world champion.
What's Miller, United States Colorist.
When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. It affects your muscles. I couldn't really keep up with all my friends, and I would have a lot of hip, knee, and heel pain. When I was 8, I saw a bunch of snowboarders going through a terrain park and doing these crazy, big jumps, and I looked back at my teacher and I was like, I want to do that.
Of this, as we see Zach Miller drop into the course.
Another time for the USA, 23 years old, 11th in snowboard cross. You know what he's looking for? He wants to come away with the medal. He's very good in bank slalom. First place at Lillehammer already this season. You can tell by the style.
Look at that. And kind of for the first time as a kid, I felt like I could just be who I was. You are covered in head to toe with gear. You have your helmet on, your goggles, your face mask, your big baggy clothes. There's like this kind of hidden confidence that comes out where you feel like you can be anyone that you want to be at that point. Nobody could tell that I was disabled. Nobody could tell that I had super skinny legs. Nobody could tell that that was Zach, the kid with cerebral palsy out there just trying his best on a snowboard. All they saw was a kid out there who may have been falling, but he was having the time of his life. My doctors were the ones who noticed that I was more competitive than any other kid they had worked with. And they told my parents, you gotta get this kid in more sports, he definitely wants it. And that was when they said, well, we have a sports program that's dedicated to kids like your son that are regular patients in this hospital that just kind of encourage them to get outdoors and learn new things. But right now it's February, so I think we're doing ski lessons up at Winter Park. Has he ever gone skiing? I just fell in love with being out in the mountains. Being on the snow and trying something new that was challenging was just everything I needed. And so when I got back, my mom, gets me all buckled into the back seat, looks up and says, hey, how'd it go? And I was fully passed out, like gone, drooling on my own shoulder. And she was like, I've never seen him this tuckered out before. And sure enough, when I came to, I would not shut up about how much I wanted to go skiing again. Snowboard racing, I gotta say, is probably just one of the coolest spectator sports out there. We are attaching ourselves to a solid plank of plastic and metal, and then we're racing sideways down an obstacle course 4 at a time on mountains most people wouldn't even hike. We compete in 2 disciplines in parasnowboarding, border cross, or snowboard cross is the formal name, and then there's banked slalom. Banked slalom, I'll say, is the more technical of the 2. You have a very narrow course, some small turns. You have to get the timing right and the line right to get across the finish line. But the nice thing is, you're just racing against the clock. As fast as you can go, your time compared to everyone else's is what determines whether or not you walk away with a medal. On the other hand, border cross is insane by comparison. You drop 4 at a time down an obstacle course that's full of jumps, rhythm sections, big bank turns, and the entire time you are carrying freight. Like, some of us are literally reaching highway speeds while on course within arm's distance of each other. In both disciplines, 100th of a second can be the difference between first and second. I've had races where 400ths of a second were the difference between winning and not even making the podium. In a sport where the margin for error is that small, every decision that you make at high speed will impact whether or not you're going home as a success or as a failure.
Zach, you must be very proud. World champion. A great day for yourself, but also a stunning day for United States para-snowboarding.
Absolutely. I am super proud to be a part of such an awesome team. We really showed up, and we're walking with a lot of medals. I'm so proud of a lot of the other athletes who really showed up. We stepped up today, and we were getting after it, man. We were setting sail.
It's this perfect dance with the absolute line. And I was taking a huge risk by being up there in that high line, but that's where all the speed was. Putting my board up there, you can see the majority of my board is literally not even on the snow. That was what gave me enough speed. I came across the finish line in first, and I won my first world championship title. And I got to say, conclusively and objectively, that I was the best snowboarder in the world that day. And everything was great. I had also, by becoming the world champion that year, solidified my spot for the Paralympic team to go to Beijing in 2022. Awesome. Nothing can go wrong at this point. I show up to the very next World Cup in Sweden. This is our last race before we decide our Paralympic team. I dropped into the course feeling really confident. I stood up to go approach a jump and immediately was in the most pain I'd ever been in my entire life. I couldn't think straight, I couldn't see anything, I could barely hear anything. Something was just wrong. A course official comes up to me and he's just asking what's wrong, because to anybody else, it didn't look like anything happened. I stood up and I ended up having to get a snowmobile down at the bottom, where I hung out in my hotel room for the next 2 days, missing all the racing before I could finally hop on a plane to go home and get answers. And when we finally got the MRI done, the image comes back, the doctor walks in, he sits down and he goes, "So, looking at your MRI here, I can tell why you're in so much pain. The 2 discs in the bottom of your spine are gone. You have fully herniated them. They're not coming back. Like, you fully just ruptured these discs." And I went, "Okay, well, what are my options?" And he goes, "Well, generally, the really only thing that we can do is to fuse those. We're just gonna go in and just connect all those together so that way they're not grinding on each other anymore. Should fix the pain. The caveat is, once I do that, you are never touching your toes again. You'll lose so much range of motion that your athletic career is pretty much done." And I went, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "If it's my choice as your medical professional, you are done snowboarding." What? What do you mean I'm done snowboarding? I just became a world champion. And I got home and I was just at a loss. And then my laptop dings and I open it and it says, "Congratulations, Zachary Miller. On behalf of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, we selected you to represent Team USA in para-snowboarding at the Paralympic Games in Beijing. Do you accept?" I can't tie my shoes. It takes me 2 hours to go to the bathroom. I'm still in so much pain, I can barely breathe. Long story short, we made up a lot of different plans and we settled on getting an epidural. I went in, I got the epidural done, I called my coaches, and I told them, "I'll see you in Beijing in a week." It didn't go well. I didn't ride as well as I wanted to, and I got eliminated first heat, first round, and I finished 16th, going into it as one of the favorites. And I vividly remember that as the lowest point in my snowboard career. I walked away from that competition feeling like I had failed everybody. And I remember turning to my coach at the time. He just saw the tears welling up in my eyes. And he just looked at me, kind of pulled me aside, and he just went, I know. And he just pulled me into this huge hug. And I fully just broke down because I was like, the only thing I think I could say was, "I'm sorry," just over and over again. And he kind of pulls me back out of the hug and he looks at me and he goes, I am so proud of you. And I was like, for what? Honestly, for what? Like, you put so many years of hard work into me, and I come home with nothing to show for it. What could you possibly be proud of me for? Because you are one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. And I just kind of scoffed at him. I was like, what do you mean? There's a difference between being a good snowboarder and a good athlete. There's someone who sets an example, who gets other younger athletes that are growing up excited to become a part of this sport that they help build. They leave it better than they found it. They contribute positively to their community. You're not always going to have days where you're a good snowboarder, but every single day you have a choice to be a good athlete. And that, to me, was what fully changed why I do what I do. Even if I feel like I'm a failure, I am still doing the thing I love the most. And that means that I am where I belong.
Now, really, it doesn't matter if people tease me because I may not be able to keep up with them on the ground and at school, but I definitely know that they won't be able to keep up with me on the slopes.
My relationship with my disability is one of the most toxic but important and satisfying and educational relationships I've ever had in my entire life. When I was first starting out, I didn't understand what my disability was going to do, how it was going to impact my life. I just knew that I wasn't as fast as some of the other kids. And that didn't really bother me that much. But then as I started to get older, and pain just became this consistent part of my everyday life, I started to kind of resent it. It just became annoying how often and how much it held me back. Like, when would the day come where it wouldn't affect me anymore? And I would ask my doctors that, and they'd be like, I don't know how to tell you this. You have this for the rest of your life. There's no getting around it. And that's part of the reason why I fell in love with snowboarding so much, is because that was one of the few places where I felt like my disability was less of a factor. And I felt like if I could get good enough at snowboarding, then I could go snowboarding with my friends at school, and for once, they wouldn't be able to keep up with me. And I liked the fact that I could hide it with the baggy clothes and the helmet and the goggles. I could not be disabled, which I loved. My disability fully was something I wanted to hide more than anything, and now it's what starts most of my conversations. Had I not been born with a disability, I wouldn't have discovered snowboarding. I wouldn't have met my teammates. I wouldn't have become close friends with these incredible people. I wouldn't be traveling the world. I wouldn't be representing Team USA. I wouldn't be getting the opportunity to go to schools and tell my story so that other kids can understand, even if they're not disabled, that their life is fully in their hands. And it taught me important lessons in life, like how to be resilient, how to deal with pain, how to deal with setbacks, how to continue to push forward when you feel like you can't fit in, becoming something I can embrace rather than something I feel I have to hide, is one of the greatest transformations in a relationship that I think you could ever see.
I saw snowboarding as a way to kind of free myself, a way that I can feel normal, almost.
There are so many things about Paralympic athletes that I wish people knew more about. It takes a special kind of person to look at circumstances that definitively will impact their ability to be athletic and do the things that they want to do, and then do it anyway. Unfortunately, I think there's just kind of this ceiling that's placed on Paralympic athletes of like, yeah, you can be great at your sport, but you're never gonna be like at the Olympic level. The Paralympics, literally, if you break down the root word meanings, Paralympics means it's running alongside the Olympics. It's not beneath it. It's not below it. It is adjacent. And I think that that's an important distinction to make in that term. That Paralympians, 100%, are probably way stronger than most people will ever be. And yet they're doing it with challenges and circumstances that would make most people completely give up and look for something else to do in life. I think people see physical disabilities as like this big overhanging cloud that tells you that you can't do something. Your circumstances don't define who you are. What defines who you are is the choices you make in those, and who you decide to become regardless. That's what makes you who you are, and that's what makes you a Paralympian. It's almost like it's this one event every 4 years where people are reminded that disabled people can be athletic too. And I think if we were to create more consistent media that just shows, not every 4 years, but every single day these athletes are going out and they're crushing it, and they're doing really cool stuff too, that you should care about, that you should see. That, I think, would do so much for the Paralympic movement. On that 4th year, we have to do everything we can to sell this story of ourselves. And a lot of times, what ends up getting the most engagement out of big sponsorships and companies is like this poor me story of just like, oh yeah, and I had all the cards against me, and just my life was looking so sad. And then I rose above my disability. And despite the challenges that I had, I became an athlete. No. Paralympic athletes didn't become who they are in spite of their disability. It's still there. They're Paralympians because that is who they are. And that's not a bad thing that you have to do in spite of. It's a part of you that makes it incredible. It's a part of the journey.
It got to a point where even though I'm a decent skier, I was actually having difficulty keeping up with him. And Zach would tend to rub that in.
I never would have been a part of this sport if I didn't have other people pushing me too. So if I can be that person, that coach, or just that example that they can look up to, that helps them make that decision and take the step towards chasing what they want in life, I think that would probably be my proudest accomplishment. How do I want to be remembered? Obviously, I want to be remembered as a competitor. I want to be remembered as a guy who, when he got on snow and showed up to a World Cup, you knew you were going to have to fight for second place. But the legacy that I want to leave behind is he was a good guy to have around, he was a supportive teammate, and he was someone who built up the sport, left it better than he found it. And that's a legacy I can be more than proud of, you know? It's not about the results, although those are nice. We're all here because we're so passionate about snowboarding, because a lot of us were told no, and we're still here anyways. And when we go out there and we go on snow, you better be watching, because if you blink, you'll miss us.